Every single human being has a philosophy. Ladies and gentlemen, each and every one of you in this audience right now has a philosophy. The only question is whether you defined it and you're conscious of it and you act upon it, or if it's accumulated in your subconscious in some kind of an unrealized way. What holds us back? What paralyzes us? I recently did a TEDx talk on the subject of philosophy. And the conclusion of my talk was this: I don't believe that there are lazy people. I believe there are paralyzed people. And what paralyzes them is that they have contradictions in a philosophy that they don't even know they possess. Why would that be? What prevents us to break through, to go to new levels, to take a vision and a purpose that we have and take it to new and better places on an ongoing process? One of my most important philosophical premises that I've adopted, which comes from the philosopher Ayn Rand, was this: contradictions lead to destruction. The amount of destruction is relative to the level of the contradiction. Contradictions lead to destruction. The amount of destruction is relative to the level of the contradiction. When we have contradictions in our philosophical premises, it leads to destruction. When we have contradictions in the driving forces of our lives, it leads to destruction. Imagine that what's driving you, the driving forces, which incidentally, ladies and gentlemen, are your values. Imagine that they're pulling you in this direction. And what's driving you and that's your career driving forces. They're pulling you this way. What's driving you in your personal life, however, seems to be pulling you this way. So what happens? You start out and you start moving, and both are moving. Your career is moving, your personal life is moving, and incidentally you have your spiritual life moving in a direction, your financial life moving in a direction, your family life, your relationship life moving in a direction. It's not just these two directions, it's multiple directions, 360 degrees all around you. But imagine all these things start moving, and you start, hey, I'm getting to go this way, I'm getting to go this way, and it starts going out, 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 till you get to a point of what? Maximum tension. Let me ask this: how many people here know something that you could be doing that you're currently not doing that would make your life better? The rest of you are lying. Everybody knows something right now that you could be doing that you're currently not doing that would make your life better. So this is kind of a curious thing, right? You know things you could be doing to make your life better. You have an intention, and you even show up at programs and pay money and time and energy to find new ways to make your life better, but you don't do them. So I guess another question is, why did you come here to learn more about what you're not going to do? So the more fundamental question is, what is it that prevents us from taking action on the things that we know would make things better? And it's this: it's contradictions and driving forces in your life. Within the branches of philosophy, you have the first branch, which is metaphysics, your view of the nature of reality, your view of the nature of the universe. In essence, metaphysics asks the question, where am I? What is this place? What is the nature of reality? If you narrow the field of metaphysics to something like chiropractic, saying, what is the chiropractic metaphysical view? What is our view of the nature of reality? The body is self-healing and self-regulating. Is that a premise held by chiropractic? Yes or no? The nervous system is the master system and controller of that body. Another premise that we hold, right? So then we get into the second branch of philosophy, which is epistemology, the theory of knowledge. What do we accept as evidence or proof? A whole other conversation that gets my adrenaline flowing. So we do a deduction, what would be referred to as a deduction, when we say that the body is self-healing and self-regulating, the nervous system is the master system and control of that body. Therefore, if you interfere with nervous system function, you must then necessarily what? Interfere with the ability for the body to heal and regulate. So you start to see how you can start to build out philosophical premises, run them through your rules of evidence, and then from the third branch of philosophy, which is ethics, which provides a human being with a code of values and therefore will be a guide to your actions, you now create your values and say, what do I do? Where am I? How do I know? What do I do? That's pretty much how easy philosophy can be as a structure. Here's the thing that people don't get. Philosophy is not just some kind of an abstract academic exercise that people do, on weekends when they're wearing their suede patches on their sleeves, but then Monday has no practical application into their life. My premise is this: philosophy is the most practical thing a human being can hope to embrace. I'm talking about put dollars in your pocket practical. I'm talking about upgrading your relationships practical. I'm talking about increasing your health and energy practical. In every possible way, philosophy, there's nothing more foundational, nothing more practical than philosophy. Yet we don't utilize it. So the idea is to embrace philosophy, not to shun it. It's to understand philosophy, not to ignore it, and to utilize philosophy. You want to have meetings on any level that are practical, that are visionary, that are formative. It has to start with what are our premises? Why do we hold these premises? Now, what are we going to do? Because when you have contradictions in your basic philosophical premises, the only possible result is destruction. When you get the maximum tension, you get stuck. There's nowhere for you to go. You can know all the stuff in the world, the new stuff to do, but it's not getting in the system because the system's at maximum tension. So you have to take a step back now, and you have to say, where is the conflict between what I do personally, what I do professionally, what I do spiritually, what I do monetarily? And how can I take a step back and rather than having contradictory values, which come from my philosophy, how can I start to organize these in a common direction? So if you go from here to here, and now you put something new into the system, it takes off. That's where breakthroughs happen. A sure way to know that you've got contradictions, because you say, well, how do I know if I have contradictions? How do I try to identify them? A sure way to know if you've got contradictions is if right now you're sitting with the sentiment that where I am is not who I am. Do you understand what I'm saying to you right now? Where you feel like if I look at my life and where I am in my life, it doesn't, when I think about who I am, or I have this concept of who I am, it doesn't match up. Where I am is not who I am. And that's the time to say, then you have contradictions that are preventing the expression of who you are. And the tool that solves that is philosophy. Do you understand the relationship between philosophy and new patients? Do you understand the relationship between philosophy and money? Do you understand the relationship between philosophy and patient retention? Do you understand the relationship between philosophy and marketing? Do you understand the relationship between philosophy and everything in your practice? Do you understand the relationship between philosophy and parenting? Do you understand the relationship between philosophy and love relationships? Philosophy touches every single part of your life in profound ways. And again, if we become conscious of it, it becomes transformative. In the chiropractic context, it's our philosophy that gives us the foundation of our 3 C's: confidence, certainty, and credibility. Confidence, certainty, and credibility. When we don't have philosophy, what do we want? Acceptance from the medical profession. Acceptance from people who don't share our philosophy. That makes no sense to me. What lies in the gap between vision, what you want, and reality, what you've got, what lies in that gap is contradiction. And the bigger the contradiction, the wider the gap. And as you start to eliminate contradictions and act congruently in your life and practice, you start to see the gap closing until you get to a point where you're living your vision. You think philosophy's got some power and influence? You better believe it, because that's how you find that stuff out. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the very nature of consciousness, and with that is revealed the critical importance of philosophy. I hope you'll embrace it, and I thank you for your attention. Thank you very much. Thank you.